Yes, yes. This album is the album that you have never heard, but you should, or maybe you shouldn't. This album's good. This album's good. It's by Television. You may go, who the heck are Television? And you also may go, why did I just say heck instead of the real word? It's because apparently on YouTube, where this podcast is also going up, you shouldn't say words that are controversial like heck within the first minute of the video if you don't want it to run into problems with the algorithm of the YouTube. Anyways, my name is Connor Farrell. This is Rock Show with Connor Farrell. I am part of Generation Z, born in 2002, and I'm here on my mission to bring back rock, to figure out how to enable rockers, Gen Z, to really, start rocking. And so whether you're a longtime rocker who wants to know what Gen Z thinks about rock, or you're Gen Z and you want to know what kind of stuff is there to check out, what do you like? You want a guide, someone who's going to show you the way on this rockin' way. So that's me. Anyways, we're breaking down Television. We're breaking down Marquee Moon by Television. This is a very fun record. If you gotta walk for a while, you're gonna run, you don't gotta drive, but you gotta walk somewhere, and you got some headphones, and it's safe enough to put headphones in and walk. This is a perfect album for that. You're just stuck with it. You're just sitting there with it. Step, 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 step. Currently, I got my AirPods in and I'm listening to the record. So as I'm talking to you, I'm hearing it, and this is exactly, I'll tell you, this record is a record that people think, it's super, I think, iconic with like indie art, kind of like people who are like, oh, this is so good, like critics love this record. And it's a fun record. It's like, they'd say prog punk, right? Prog being progressive, typically referring to progressive rock. Bands like King Crimson, I like Frank Zappa. There's lots of bands that are considered prog or progressive, but things where you have interesting compositions. Yes is a famous example. Gentle Giant, lesser known but really incredible. Travis Scott recently sampled a Gentle Giant song for the opening of his new record. Anyways, Television, Marquee Moon. So yeah, it's prog, and then punk, as most people probably know, kind of like DIY, less focused on being like super commercial, usually a little angrier than traditional kind of stadium rock at the time. But this is a super wiry and angular record. If you don't know what I mean by that, then that's my fault, but also kind of yours, right? No, so I'm listening to Venus right now. The guitar lines just kind of like weave their way around the bass and the drums and through just kind of the space. And they just kind of weave together. And you've got this really nasally singer who's just kind of like, talk doing it, talk singing, I'm doing it thing that I'm singing. No, and so you might go like, that's off-putting, but it's kind of fun. A lot of people thought originally when the Strokes came out that they were influenced by Television and Blondie and these other bands that were from New York, but like in the late 70s, early 80s. And it's very funny because Television, this record, Marquee Moon, I tried listening to one of the other records. I just didn't really like it. I really like the first 5 songs of this record. See No Evil is really fun. Venus is fun. Listening to Venus right now, actually. Thank you for asking. Friction, I forget how long that one was, but that's a little more like upbeat rock, a little more in your face. Elevation, I think, was pretty good, but Marquee Moon is like 11-minute song. The title track, Marquee Moon, is like an 11-minute song with a bunch of different guitar solos and different parts to it. And that is an incredible freaking song. That is incredible. When did I first hear this record, you may be asking? Now that you kind of know some of the context behind it. I first heard this record when I was, I think, in my last year of college, so about a year ago now. A year and a couple months, if you'll give or take. I graduated from UCSD. I got a degree in business economics, and I graduated what's it now? 2024. So I graduated like March 2023. And at the beginning of 2022, that school year, this record was coming on. I'm yet to reform my band Black Licorice, but at the time we were active in San Diego. I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm moving to Austin very shortly. By the time you watch this, I may already be in Austin. You may be going back through the archives of The Rock Show with Connor Farrell. You may also be like, Connor mentioned this in the Strokes video where he talked about Francis Trouble and the Voids. He mentioned, and he talked about anarchy a lot in that video. He just really broke down what anarchy was, and now you know. Little introduction. Did you read the Michael Malice book, The Anarchist Handbook? Did you read it? I don't know. Are you reading it? You should be reading it. Look at my ascot. Now, for the audio listeners out there, I bought an ascot on Amazon. You know, you may be wondering, what's an ascot? Who wears an ascot? Fred and Scooby-Doo wears an ascot. Now, Fred and Scooby-Doo also benches 220. If you're not sure what bench means, it means to bench press. It's a movement in which you simulate the motion of a push-up, except using an external load. External meaning not your body and gravity. External meaning you have weights that you load onto a bar, and you use these weights to force your hands, which are holding them down, to stretch out the muscles of your chest. And the stretch-mediated hypertrophy, stretch meaning stretch, mediated meaning it adds an effect to it, and then hypertrophy meaning growth of size of muscle tissue, right? So if you want to increase the size of your chest muscles, you would desire chest hypertrophy. Anyways, lots of good resources from this come from Dr. Mike Israetel of Renaissance Periodization. Incredible resource. Jeff Nippard, Sean Nilwalje. I'm not quite certain on how to pronounce his name. Apologies in advance if Sean ever hears this. But what I mean to say is Fred from Scooby-Doo. I'm happy because Friction has started playing. Thank God. I love this song. Oh, it's so good. It's so sassy. This is a sassy band. You want a sassy band? You get this. You feel a little stanky, a little distant, you want to get sassy. It's kind of like a sassier version of Primus, but a little more upbeat and artsy than Queens of the Stone Age. So this is a really good sassy record. But back to Fred from Scooby-Doo. Like, you're wondering, you're looking right now at your camera, you're like, where's Fred from Scooby-Doo? Where's he coming into this? I don't know how Fred from Scooby-Doo got off the menu. There's a lot of glare from your glasses, Connor. Anyways, Fred from Scooby-Doo benched 220. Bench being bench pressed, right? He performed on the bench press repetitions using the weight 220. Now, when you're working out, to get a weight of 220 would be kind of annoying. And I'll explain why. The barbell itself, the bar on which you put weight, is 45 pounds, right? And the usual increments that you'll find at a commercial gym or any sort of gym, you go to 24-hour fitness, you go to a EOS, you go to a Planet Fitness, any type of these establishments, you'll find typically plates that weigh 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 25 pounds, and 45 pounds. Now, if you're going to put two 45s, one on either side of the bar, see, when you're doing a movement like the bench press and you're loading a barbell, which is the bar that you put the weight onto, the 45-pound bar, this bar needs to be evenly loaded, meaning that you need to put 45 on one side and 45 on the other. You need to put the same amount of weight on both sides. Now this is where it makes it fun. If you take 220 and you subtract 40, you get 180. Take another 5 off, you get 175. So now you realize you have to load the bar with 175 pounds to get 220, which is what Fred claimed to bench. And so a tinge of doubt crosses your mind as you realize, that doesn't sound like an even number. So let's do it this way. 180, 5 more than 175. Let's say we take the 5 off after. So what's half? Because we have to split it evenly on both sides. What's half of 180? It's 90. So you go, okay, 90 pounds, but minus half of the 5 on either side. So that's 2.5. 90 minus 2.5 is 87.5. Now you're starting to think, how do you get 87.5 from 5 pound, 10 pound etc. weights. And there, dear viewer, I suggest you that Fred did not exactly bench 220. Fred was a little timid. Fred was a little humble. Fred, in fact, my dear internet listener, viewer, all the above, I posit to you that Fred from Scooby-Doo was actually benching 225. Now, 225, this is a simple number when you're talking about the math of the gym and the barbell. 225 means 245 plates, commonly referred to as 2 plates. So 2 wells, or 2 plates on either side, 2 45-pound weights would, be equivalent to 90 on each side, so 180 combined, plus 45 for the bar, puts you at 225 pounds. Now, I might suggest that Fred couldn't have benched 220 exactly. Not necessarily. If he wanted to reach 87.5, he could have been one of those guys who brings in, weights from home. So he could have put a 45 on either side. He puts a 25 or a 35. Let's say he puts a 35. A 45 plus a 35. He's got 80 pounds. Okay. Now he puts a 5. And he brought from home a 2.5. Or the gym happens to have 2.5 pound weights. So you got a 45, a 35, a 5, and a 2.5. Now, if you're counting, he's got to put 4 plates on either side. That's 8 plates to rack in a re-rack. Now, you may be thinking, oh, that's double the amount of plates. That's 4 more than if you just put 2 45s on either side. And you'd be correct. So I suspect, though not impossible, but I suspect it's highly likely that Fred was in fact referring to 225 pounds. And you may be wondering, why am I going on this sassy tangent about Fred from Scooby-Doo? Well, clearly, I didn't just copy Scooby-Doo. I copied his whole bar. I copied his whole swag. Fred says he can bench 220. So, let's see. Bench press. See, according to Google, only 0.075% of the male population can bench press 220. That means if you went out onto the street and found 1,000 people, less than one of them would be able to bench 225. You could say if you found, 100,000 people, 75 of them could bench? But less than 1 out of 1,000 sounds better. Okay. So let's see. We're going to Reddit. Fred can bench 220. Now, this is very interesting. Someone on here bragged about being able to bench 210. Now let's do a little bit of quick math on that. That's 165 divided by 2. Do you really want to do this? You're having to use 2.5 weights. You're dividing by 5. So let's just pretend. Let's see what happens if I put 220. This is What's New, Scooby-Doo. Fred can in fact bench 220. Now here's the thing. Fred from Scooby-Doo would wear a white shirt and or sweater with a blue button-up underneath it with an orange ascot. I oftentimes can be seen sporting a white collar with a black shirt and or sweater and a green ascot. Now you may be saying to yourself, it looks like you have not ironed your ascot. And to that I go, what does it matter to you? I have not ironed my ascot. Now, how does any of this relate to Marquee Moon by Television? Would you believe me if I told you Marquee Moon started the song, not the album, but the song started 4.5 minutes ago, and there's still another 6.5 minutes. We're not even halfway through the song. I started talking about Fred probably right about when the song started. So let's take a moment to appreciate that. Let's go. Marquee Moon Television. Just labeling the episode here, but really breathe. Let that hit you. That this song is so long, but somehow it's supposed to be good. Now, you should be scared for me. You should be praying for me because I'm clicking a link to Tumblr talking about how Fred can bench 220. Let's read this real quick if you have a moment. Woo! Thinking about what's new Scooby-Doo, Fred in particular, on this fine evening, he's the most just some guy of all time. He likes sports, but not the ones you'd expect, like ice hockey and wrestling. He lives with and cooks for Shaggy and Scooby. He adores his van. He's easily embarrassed by his parents, but cares so deeply about them and goes dead serious when they're in danger. He's such a big Elvis fan that he went to a fantasy Elvis camp. He almost died twice, and on both occasions, Scooby single-handedly saved his life. He's sad that he doesn't have a catchphrase. He refers to the rest of the gang as his family. He's easily distressed when others say his lines slash come up with plans slash drive the mystery machine because he's autistic and needs his routine. Oh. He panicked when fake dating Daphne as bait for a monster and ended up extensively rambling about his hay fever. He turned into a vampire that one time. He stood up and did a live trap demonstration in the middle of an interview because he cannot sit still for even 5 minutes. He's such a goofy way of speaking and expressing himself that Velma and Daphne refer to it as Fred speak and need to translate it for others. He will throw his entire body at a monster if it causes his friends the slightest harm. He thinks he's above the laws of physics. He's never had ownership of the communal Mystery Inc. brain cell ever in his life, and most importantly of all, he can bench press 220. That was mean. This person is very mean, but at the end they said he can bench press 220. Well, I don't mean to say that. Let's go. See, no one's done any research on this. Fred can bench 220. You may be wondering, can I bench more than Fred? And also, did I steal Fred's drip? I took Fred's drip, but I have the Scooby-Doo colors. I didn't realize it till now. I got my brown jacket on. My sports coat, if you will. Anyways. Yeah. Oh! What the fuck is this album anyways? Yeah, that's a good point. Marquee Moon. Well, we're almost through the song. It's a fun song. We've got 2.5 minutes left. Why the hell did they make it? The debut album of American rock band Television. It was released on February 8th, 1977 by Elektra Records. Yada yada yada. La da la da la da la da. So they abandoned contemporary punk rock's power chords in favor of rock and jazz-inspired interplay, melodic lines, and counter melodies. The resulting music is largely hook-driven with complex instrumental parts, particularly on longer tracks such as Marquee Moon, while evoking themes of adolescence, discovery, and transcendence through imagery in urban, pastoral, and nocturnal modes, including references to the geography of Lower Manhattan, influenced by Bohemian and French poetry. Verlaine, the lead singer, his lyrics also feature puns and double entendres, intended to give the song impressionistic quality in describing his perception of an experience. Oh my god. Released to widespread acclaim, Marquee Moon was hailed by critics as an original music development in rock music. The critical recognition helped the album achieve unexpected commercial success in the United Kingdom, despite poor sales in the US. Among the most acclaimed music releases in history, it consistently features professionally curated lists of top albums, including Rolling Stone magazine's 500 greatest albums of all time, on which it ranked 128th. Marquee Moon also proved to be a foundational record for alternative rock as television's innovative instrumentation for the album strongly influenced subsequent post-punk, new wave, and indie rock movements of the 1980s and rock guitar playing in general. Okay. What the heck? Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Why is this? I think this just was a hit with critics, and it's very interesting. That's a fun record and super interesting. So they toured with Blondie. So I think that's probably why they got some more reach, because Blondie probably got them into places in the UK. They're actually in front of big crowds, and big crowds are like, these guys are actually cool, which they are pretty cool. And yeah. So I think a lot of guitar players will call this an influence. I would recommend listening to this record when you're walking. That's why I sit at the top, and I stand by that. You should listen to this record while you're walking, and you'll have a good time. Honestly, it's just a good one to pop on if you need to walk someplace and you want to go, oh, that's interesting. It's a good way to get inspired. Very like grand kind of sounds and ideas. Just it'll really, it's one of those records to listen to if you just want to hear a bunch of ideas that'll inspire you. Kind of like the Void's record, Tyranny, and what is the next one? Oh my god, whatever the Voids did. Go look up the Voids. You're on Spotify, you're on Apple Music, you're on whatever. Let's not pretend you're not on the internet and this is in 2024. Probably watching this in 2028. You're like, damn, that Connor guy's famous now. He's a rock star. Oh my god, what did he say back then? He's so controversial. Because when a record's bad, he'll say it's bad. Yeah, not too crazy. Example of that, I like the Strokes. Love Arctic Monkeys, love Cage the Elephant, but like for all of them, their latest records, the latest like half of their career has been not good. Even though I like all of those songs and albums pretty much, I can admit they're not good rock albums. They're barely rock, and they're not particularly good in any way. Like this album's going for a lot, and so it's really interesting. You can only compare it to what it could have been, like if the songs are maybe a little bit tighter, a little more cleaned up. So the only comparison you can make is like, what if I like figured a way out to take some of these songs and punch them up a little bit, or to change the vocal style, maybe replace it with the vocalist. I might replace the vocalist with that. But I think the reason why this record has continued to be a mainstay in what people call one of the greatest of all time is because you really can only compare it to themselves. There isn't much of another standard. And actually, I tried listening to one of their other albums, and I was like, this isn't as nearly as good as Marquee Moon. So I kind of, that's kind of the thing. Because once a band is truly good on a record or a couple songs, you then have a benchmark by which to measure the rest of their stuff. And that's when they can start to falter and fail. Hey, but you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You want to rock. You got to rock. People need rock. The people do need rock, and that's the thing. If you're not gonna rock, that's okay. But if you're gonna rock, keep rocking. Or like do everything you can to get other people to take over for you and just keep rocking. Because the audience is still there. The established longtime rock fans still want rock, even though you're leaving. And the new up and comers are still gonna want rock. And so it's like up to them to make the music, which is true, but like, you know, it's a different environment. And while we're in this transitional period, it's not a bad idea for like some of these bigger bands to actually spend time like trying to find good bands and helping them write good music. Now you could say, well, if they wouldn't figure it out anyways, it's like you can help people get there quicker anyways. But you can also root out like if people are good or bad or whatnot. I don't know, it's a complex thing, so I wouldn't really say I know exactly what bands should be doing. But this album holds up. This album's very fun. It's kind of my thoughts, really. I don't know. Am I tired of it? I feel like I'm coming on here and I'm really like tired of a lot of this shit. It's really, really getting like tired. You know, not of rock music, but like the stuff that doesn't really rock. Like right now, like I'm listening to Elevation and I'm kind of sick of this. I'm gonna go to Metallica. And let me just put the White Stripes on. Let's do White Stripes. There's a song off, what? Is this the first White Stripes record? Yeah. The Big Three Killed My Baby. Let me hear this. Fuck this gay ass shit. Don't listen to Marquee Moon. Listen to The Big Three Killed My Baby by the White Stripes. Listen to the White Stripes. What the fuck am I talking about? Listen to the first White Stripes album. This shit is so much better. What the fuck? I'm crazy. I'm crazy. Don't listen to me at the beginning of this. Just listen to the fucking White Stripes, especially the early stuff. And I mean, all of it, because they just fucking stopped at a certain point. Get Behind Me Saying and Nicky Thump, I think they started doing more like wacky kind of experimental stuff, just in the sense they're like, look, there's a cool arrangement. But the stuff when the White Stripes are just fucking smashing guitars and screaming and yelling, that's fucking, oh my God, so good. Big Three, kill my baby, nobody's alone again. Oh my God. Yeah, listen to the Big Three Kill My Baby. This is good for your soul. Television Moon is fine. It's artsy. If you get tired of listening to good rock music, go listen to Marquee Moon, whatever the fuck I just talked about. Also, dress however the fuck you want. Put on your fucking ascot. Have a good time. Yeah, go follow me on to the next episode where I talk about. I was thinking I was going to do the next ones on Queens of the Stone Age. I think I still will. That's the order I'm going to record them in. But I think you should go check out my White Stripes videos. Type in The White Stripes, The Rock Show with Connor Farrell, ConnerFarrell, The Rock Show. And yeah, I'll fucking see you there. No, I'll see you there. Did you click the new video? Did you click it? You teleport ahead to the future to click the video? You got 5 seconds to click it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you click it? Okay. Okay, well, I'll see you there. Rock on.